Okay. I'll say it again. Thank you. Thank you for your activism. It's because of you, the 8th district is now blue. Yes, yes. My name is Terry Sloan, and I am so proud to introduce to you our Washington State Attorney General, Bob Ferguson.
Good morning, everybody. Are you ready to march today? I couldn't quite hear that. Are you ready to march today? First, join me in thanking Terry and the whole team of volunteers and folks who put this huge event together. It's a big job. Big round of applause for everybody. Now, we have a lot of great speakers. I'm going to be super short so we can get to our marching, but I want to let you know, you may have heard that my office has filed a few lawsuits against the administration. So I did a double check this morning when I left my kids. We're just staying over in Leavenworth for the 3-day weekend. They're off playing in the snow, and we've now filed 33 lawsuits against the Trump administration. And you know, one great thing about litigation, it's kind of like sports. There's an outcome. You either win or you lose. It's easy to file a lawsuit. It's a lot harder to win. We have 18 results in 18 courts all across the country on those 33 cases so far. They're all ongoing, but 18 we've had decisions. Now, it's not like I'm keeping score or anything, but I thought you should know that the record so far is State of Washington 18, Trump administration 0. And what I want you, when I file one of those lawsuits, when my team files one of those lawsuits, we do it on behalf of the people of the state of Washington, which means it's not me who's 18-0, right? It's not the Attorney General's office. It's each and every one of you, 18, Trump administration 0. Thank you. Let me give you 2 examples of what those cases mean. Number 1, this administration has tried to roll back access for women for reproductive health over and over and over again. And I'll give you one example. The Trump administration adopted a rule that said your employer can refuse to provide health coverage that includes access to contraceptive. Does that seem right to you? Should Donald Trump decide whether your employer can provide that insurance to you? Should your employer decide that he does not want you to have access to contraception? No. We filed a lawsuit challenging that. A few days ago, we got our decision from a federal court saying that action by the Trump administration is, you guessed it, unlawful. You won again. Another huge area, in fact, close to half the cases we've brought relate to one important topic, the environment, climate change. It's been a huge focus. Doesn't get as many headlines, but a huge focus. And this administration, particularly under Scott Pruitt, when he was in charge of the EPA, has systematically tried to roll back protections that the Obama administration put in place to address climate change in our environment. You pick the issue, they've done it. The good news is, over and over and over again, we defeat them in court. And it's appropriate we're here at a courthouse, because the great thing about our system of government is that in a courthouse, it's a level playing field. If you have a good advocate, and trust me, the folks on my office who work on your behalf are excellent advocates. Excellent advocates. We have an office right here in Wenatchee. They do excellent work. But when you're in a courtroom, a federal judge does not care who has the loudest voice in a federal courthouse. A federal judge does not care what you tweet. All a federal judge cares about is the law and the facts of your case, and that is it. It's the great leveler. You are accountable to the rule of law, I am accountable to the rule of law, and the Trump administration is accountable to the rule of law. One last thing I want to mention, while we've had great success, there's a lot of work ahead of us. And to give you just one example, the Trump administration is about to roll out a new rule that deals with Title X, a hugely important program we have, as many of you know, important with Planned Parenthood and access to women all across our country, especially women below the poverty line, of having access to full range of health coverage. And this administration wants to adopt a gag rule, which would limit what your doctor, what your healthcare provider can say to you when they are giving you your options when it comes to your reproductive health. Do you think it makes sense that the government should dictate what your healthcare provider can say to you? No! But you watch, despite hundreds of thousands of comments of disagreement from people across this country, I predict that rule will be put into place. I also predict something else. We will challenge that. We will challenge that. And I'm not gonna, I never predict the outcome of any of my cases, okay? They're all tough cases. But I'm just gonna say we haven't lost yet. And I do not plan on starting anytime soon. Thank you, each and every one of you. I have people ask me all the time, hey Bob, what can I do with what's going on right now? What can I do? And I tell them the same thing. Everybody has a different role to play in our democracy. I thank God every day I'm the Attorney General, and I have certain tools at my disposal and an incredible legal team who work around the clock on your behalf. Take my word for that. They work around the clock, weekends, they're working for your behalf. Thank you. I love you too. And I wish my wife was here to hear that. That would have been great. But in all seriousness, I appreciate the role I have, but what I tell every audience is everybody can play a role. You can write a letter. You can vote. You can march. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here today, getting out there, having your voice heard, and marching. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Good morning. Bob Ferguson, guys. Sorry, I'm a little bit fangirl. Guys, tomorrow marks the 2-year anniversary of the inauguration of this administration. It has been 2 years full of nothing but ugly. To attempt to enumerate the atrocities that this administration has perpetrated over that time would take a lot longer than any of our cold fingers could handle today. It has been depressing and it has been exhausting. But what do we do? How do we combat the continuous onslaught of this dumpster fire that happens on a daily basis? We act. We show up. We do actions in a couple of different ways, internally and externally. Internally, we check our privilege, acknowledge it, and then use that privilege to help others who don't have it. Externally, we show up. I am so beyond happy to see all of you here today. We get informed, and we stay informed, and we check that information. We don't need to go against the daily propaganda that happens all the time. And then share that information with people. Sorry, I'm a walker. None of us can know all of the things all of the time. So post about it, share about it, because we can't act on the things that we don't know about. Contact your representatives. Every single one of you here should have Patty Murray's number, Maria Cantwell's number, and Kim Schreier's number in your phone. And Dan Newhouse, thank you. Call early, call often, or call late at night and angry and slightly intoxicated like I do constantly. But call them. They can't act and know on what your position is if you don't tell them. Vote. Register people to vote. This is the first time that I have ever gone out and helped to register. I'm super stoked that I got like 15 new people registered to vote. And I taught people who have felony convictions how they still can vote. People think that your voting rights are gone forever. They are not. You can still vote. There's an organization that you like, give them your time, give them your money. If you can't do that, then give them your voice. But the most important thing is to engage. One-on-one or with groups. Drag your friends and your family off to things. I have dragged my mother here today. She's in the red hat. Today's actually her birthday. She has given me her birthday because this is important. Small acts that we do can have immense impacts on others. And her act here today means the world to me. And by being here, all of you know that we are not going to let this be our new normal. This dumpster fire of an administration is not our new normal, and we refuse to let that happen.
My name is Cecilia Gano, and I'm a staff attorney at the Northwest Immigrants' Rights Project here in Wenatchee. It is an honor to be with you all today in solidarity with women throughout the country. As an immigration attorney in this community and a proud daughter of immigrants, I am inspired by the resilience and bravery of the clients we work with who have overcome so many obstacles and injustices in order to access safety and opportunity. Our office here in Wenatchee is proud to be celebrating our 5-year anniversary of working on behalf of low-income immigrants in North Central Washington. And our organization is proud to be celebrating our 35th anniversary of defending and advancing immigrant rights throughout the entire state. Today, we all march to stand against a system of cruelty and injustice aimed at ourselves, our bodies, and our values. We march to remind ourselves and our community that we reject this sexist, racist, xenophobic, and abusive president. We march to demand that this administration shut up and listen to our voices and to the voices of the oppressed and dispossessed. This is a pivotal time for immigrants and immigrant rights. Racist executive orders from the president and terrible policy changes by the Attorney General and other members of the administration have caused great fear, uncertainty, and damage. We have seen an increase in the number of people picked up by ICE and then placed in removal proceedings. We have seen many attempts to rip away crucial pathways to safety for survivors of violence by direct order of former Attorney General Jeff Sessions. We have seen an increase of workplace raids across the country that put community members at great risk. As a result of these attacks, my colleagues and I have to regularly prepare clients for worst-case scenarios, like contingency planning in the events that they are separated from their community. So today, in this march meant to challenge injustice, it is vital that we all remember and honor the many women and community members who do not have the luxury of joining us today. Let us remember and honor undocumented women at risk of deportation back to places and situations where their lives are at risk. Survivors of violence unable to leave their abusers because they have no money and no other family to rely on. Working women whose weekends are spent earning money for themselves and their families and who cannot afford to take the morning off to march with us. With every step, every chant, and every raised fist that we give today, we remember them, we honor them, and demand that the system which oppresses them on a daily basis be dismantled.
Today, start with this. 65 million years ago, planet Earth experienced its 5th mass extinction. In a geologically short period of time, as much as 76% of all organisms disappeared from our fossil record. Some sources believe that it took as long as 9 million years for biodiversity to fully recover. We often read about these events in Earth's history as something that is so grand and terrible that we can barely imagine the scale on which our planet suffered. Unfortunately, based on our current evidence from extinction rates, we might be experiencing our 6th mass extinction right now. If the last mass extinction wiped out nearly 80% of all life on Earth, how do we know that our current one will not end in the catastrophic destruction of human beings? Even if we do survive, humanity will spend millions of years in the wake of catastrophe. It will essentially be the apocalypse. The facts are out there, with some estimates of nearly 30% of all plants and animals going extinct in the next 100 years. This rapid decrease in biodiversity will be detrimental to the stability of our biosphere. Over the past 40 years, there has been an alarming increase in global surface temperature, in consistent large wildfires, more floods, and fluctuations in sea level, and even more heat waves. People in our own country, in California, in Florida, in Puerto Rico, and even Washington, are directly affected by the meteorological consequences of climate change. There's one cause to this pale blue dot's turmoil: us, humans, with our fossil fuels and deforestation and exponential growth. And we, every one of us, are the only ones that can stop it. I'm 17 years old. I'm 17, and when I'm 50 or 60 or 70, I want to step outside and breathe clean air. There have been trends in the decisions of Congress and the White House that will lead us to believe that they do not care about our future, for they will not be alive to see it. But they are making their decisions based on profit. Profit that will only mean something if we continue to have accessible resources. And unfortunately for us, we are on the fast track to run out. They are happy to burn the planet from the outside in as long as they continue to reap the benefits. Although some members of Congress might disagree, global warming is no hoax, and we can no longer treat it as such. Generation Z, that's my generation, have inherited an environmental disaster. Having said that, I firmly believe that we are not too late. Life is amazing in the sense that it will adapt and persist, even in the most trying times. And our blue planet will thrive again if we loosen our chokehold on it. But we must become the wildlife warriors that will fight and sacrifice for the greater good. Based on the overwhelming evidence that our planet is dying, and fast, we must change. We must change our legislation. We must change our education. We must change our priorities as Americans and inhabitants of this earth. When my 10th grade English class was asked what our greatest priority as Americans in this time was, the overwhelming majority agreed that we need to protect the balance of our ecosystem. But when I look around, it seems to me that many people turned a blind eye to how our actions are deteriorating the balance of billions of years of evolution. This can no longer be not our problem. The survival of humans depends on it. I'm talking to all of the Wenatchee Valley that will listen today, but I'm especially pleading to our youth. Young women, my peers and allies, we must rise. We must become the next generation of scientists and environmental lawyers and advocates. We must become the best version of the people who came before us, the people who protested the world that we are currently living in. We must become catalysts for a greener, brighter tomorrow, because what happened 65 million years ago, it's happening right now. All right, thank you.
I want to speak for a few moments on the personhood of the unborn. Give yourselves a hand for being here today. Come on, though. Great is the Lord and greatly to be praised. His greatness is unsearchable. So I declare his praise. I want to begin by saying, biblically, there is no question life is God's handiwork. The only question that matters as we engage the topic of life and abortion is this: what is the unborn? The only question that matters. What is the unborn? The unborn. Life is God's handiwork. Psalm 139 says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. We are God's handiwork. God spoke all of creation into existence, and he upholds your heart beating and your lungs breathing and your brain synapses firing even in this moment by the word of his power. You exist by the miraculous power of God today. But not only has God spoken creation into existence, when it came to the human beings that uniquely and peculiarly contain his glory, made in his image, he used his hands. He formed Adam from the dust of the ground and Eve from the rib from his side. And even to this day, he knits us together in our mother's womb. The miracle of life, the value of life before birth and after birth at every age and stage. But some might say, I don't care what the Bible says. That's just old-time, outdated religious nonsense and fanaticism. Friends, let me encourage you. The matter is settled even in God's natural law. The matter is settled medically. A new human being comes into existence during the process of fertilization. Scientifically, every abortion at every point in the pregnancy ends the life of a genetically distinct human being that has never before existed and will never again exist. A unique genetic encode from the moment of fertilization. Philosophically, there is no case for abortion that stands. The size of a person does not determine its value or worth. Its level of development does not determine its value or worth. If Elon Musk goes to Mars in a SpaceX rocket, he's just as valuable as a human being in a bubble in space as those human beings that are in a bubble on Earth. The environment and location does not determine the value of human life. The degree of dependency does not determine the value of human life. My 7-year-old son is smaller than my 13-year-old son who is here with me today, and he is just as deserving and worthy of love, care, and protection. My daughter, who turned 11 yesterday, is far less developed in her womanhood and femininity as my 17-year-old daughter, and she's just deserving of life and protection and care. Philosophically, the case for abortion does not hold up. Legally, numerous laws define the unborn as human persons. 38 states have fetal homicide laws. Laws that recognize the unique and distinct reality of the existence of a human life inside the womb. Even unborn animals receive more protection than unborn humans. You cannot tamper with or touch the egg of a bald eagle or the egg of a sea turtle. How much more precious are you than sparrows? Jesus said. We are the crowning work of his creation because we bear the image of God, and he made us with his own hands. He formed us. And so the question, what is the unborn? Friends, the matter is settled biblically, medically, scientifically, embryologically, philosophically, legally, theologically. The unborn is a unique human being, a distinct person, deserving of protection, care, rights, and profound awe and respect. It is not a lump of cells or tissue. It is not merely a pregnancy, but a person. An abortion does not merely end a pregnancy. An abortion ends a life, a beating heart. Nearly half of abortions occur at or after 8 weeks of fertilization. At 8 weeks, the child in the womb sucks its thumb. All of its major organs function. It has a heartbeat. It has a fingerprint. It has a sense of smell, and it can feel pain. I am pro-women.
Amen.
Including the smallest ones, the most defenseless ones, the helpless ones. Human beings are persons at every stage, deserving of love, care, protection, support, advocacy, along with their mothers who carry them. Oh, that our nation would truly herald life liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as we so boldly declare. Our current situation is unacceptable. The unborn are unprotected, and they are regularly subjected to violence and death. The numbers are down to 2,500 a day. That's almost a 9/11 event every single day on our watch. The case is very simple. I want to simplify it for us. The only question that matters is, what is the unborn? The case is simple, 3 steps. 1, it is wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being. 2, abortion intentionally kills an innocent human being. 3, abortion, therefore, is wrong. Just keep it simple, keep it clear. Just want to help, equip us, remind us, encourage and inspire us. Abortion is unacceptable in the eyes of God and must become so in ours as well. And to that end, I thank you for lending your voice and your time by your presence here today. And may we continue to work for the protection of all human life, both before and after birth. What is the unborn? It is distinct human life, unique personhood, deserving of protection, care, rights, and profound awe and respect. It is God's handiwork. God bless you all. Thank you for being here.